Alright, welcome back to the channel, and today with the release of WoW Classic Hardcore servers coming in less than 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the Hunter because it'll be a really popular class for those servers, I'm sure. So, just going to give a little bit of a leveling guide for the Hunter. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and we'll just jump right on into it. So, the Hunter is going to be one of the, if not the fastest leveling class in the game. It's also one of the easiest because, you know, you just send in the pet tanks for you. You kill everything that's attacking. So we'll go over the strengths and weaknesses of the Hunter real quick and see what you think of it. One of the main weaknesses of the Hunter is that you're going to have to use a quiver for your ranged ammunition, which means you have less bag space than other classes. You are going to get the benefits of using a quiver, which will be to buff your ranged attack speed or, you know, whatever the quiver says, but it is worth using a quiver over just an extra bag. Another downside of the Hunter is that the pet abilities, as you level, you have to continually tame new animals to get increased ranks of the spells, and sometimes that can lead to quite a bit of travel around the world to find the right mob that you need to get a specific ability for your pet, or a new ability, or an upgraded ability. So yeah, it can be a bit of a pain. And the other downside of playing a Hunter is you really do have to learn how to micromanage your pet and get comfortable controlling your pet in combat. So, I mean, it's not much of a downside, but it does bear mentioning. So, strength-wise, like I said, this is going to be one of the fastest, if not the fastest leveling spec, meaning you will get to level 60 easier in WoW Classic. You also have the pet with you, which is almost as good as having an extra player with you in a lot of cases, just because you can split threat between yourself and your pet and keep yourself alive longer. It's definitely an advantage. You'll be able to do higher level mobs than a lot of other classes really easily. And when I say that, although when I say that the Hunter is one of the easiest classes in WoW Classic to play, it's not one of the easiest classes to play well. So that there is a distinction there. But we'll go through it a little bit, and I'll give you some of the tips and tricks that I've come up with for playing this class in WoW Classic. Number one, I find it really helpful to bind my pet attack and pet follow commands to a different button. I specifically use my mouse wheel, so I target an enemy, roll my mouse button forward, and that's my pet attack. If I roll it back, that's pet follow. So I can control what my pet is doing with just my mouse wheel. But you don't have to use your mouse wheel. You can use, you know, whatever buttons you want to, but I find using shift 1 or shift 2 or control 1, whatever it is, to use your pet abilities, I don't find that efficient, and I highly advise you to bind those keys to something else that is easy to reach and use. Another thing, you are going to get access to Aspect of the Cheetah at level 20, which is, a 30% speed increase. That's part of the reason that the Hunter is one of the fastest levelers right there. But get used to cycling through your aspects to where you have the right aspect on. Don't Once you have access to Aspect of the Cheetah, that doesn't mean you should have Aspect of the Cheetah on all the time. And another thing is, at level 20 you get your first freezing trap, so you have pretty consistent crowd control available from level 20. But the thing about using traps in WoW Classic is that you can't drop traps in combat. So until you hit level 30, when you get Feigned Death, you're not going to be able to drop traps while you're in combat. So that means you kind of have to plan it out ahead of time, and if you're going to need a trap, you have to drop it before you engage in combat, before you send your pet in to attack. Once you hit level 30 and get Feigned Death, there are macros available that will link your traps and your Feigned Death, so you can Feign Death, and if you can hit your trap ability before you stand up while you're out of combat, you can actually drop traps in combat, but it is something that takes a little getting used to, and takes some practice to be proficient with it. But again, that's only after level 30 when you have Feigned Death. So another thing that I highly recommend you use is Distracting Shot. I'm not saying use it all the time, but there are situations where your pet is about to die and you're standing there full health. You can use Distracting Shot to pull aggro away from your pet for a few seconds and keep your pet alive, and that's going to help you more than just trying to heal your pet through the damage sometimes. So don't forget to try not to forget all of the tools at your disposal, is what I mean by that. We were talking earlier about pet abilities and having to go train them. So I have a website here that I use quite a bit that I'm going to pull up and show you, and this is Petopia. It shows all of the WoW Classic pet abilities that you can get in this game. So let's just say that I get to level 16 and I want to pick up the 3rd rank of Bite for my pet. If you pull up this website and look at Bite, it will tell you which particular mob you need to tame. It will tell you, what level it is and what zone they're in. So if I wanted Bite rank 3 at level 16, you can see there's Stone Talon Mountains. I could go to the Stone Talon Mountains. I'm looking for a level 16 Deep Moss Creeper. So if you click on this ability, or click on the name of the mob there, it pulls this up and you can see on the map where in the Stone Talon Mountains that particular mob will be for you to go train it. or for you to go tame it. And then you're going to have to use that pet for a little bit until you actually learn the ability from that mob. So at that point, you can dismiss that pet and be able to train your other pets with that ability. So this is a incredibly useful tool for WoW Classic hunters. You can go all the way from 1 to 60 without ever training any of these abilities. Do I recommend it? Hell no. The two main ones that you really want for any pet is bite or claw, and that just gives your pet more damage. And more damage from your pet means that they're going to do a better job of keeping threat over your abilities. So I highly recommend using this. And there are a bunch of different ones. There's charge for boars, and it shows you the different ranks. There's claw. One in particular that I want to talk about, I'll tell you my personal preference is to use cats. And especially after level 30 to 40, you can get cats that have claw, which you're going to get more attacks out of them with claw than bite. Bite's on a cooldown. But I like to teach my cats dash, which will get them to the target a lot faster. I like to give them claw. They will have growl. And then the last one that I generally put on a cat pet is prowl. So, especially since I usually play, if I'm playing Alliance, I will play a Night Elf. So if I'm playing a Night Elf, I can put my cat in prowl and they're stealthed, and I can move somewhere out of, the normal place where mobs usually are, and then I can shadow meld with my character. And if I have to go AFK, I can, and be in less danger that way. And this being, a hardcore server, if you're playing hardcore, it is worth mentioning. So beyond that, let's talk about the best talents for leveling as a hunter in WoW Classic. And I think hands down it's going to be putting your talents into Beast Mastery. You're going to get increased health for your pets, which will help keep them alive. Increased damage from your pets, which will help them keep threat over you. Just all kinds of stuff in the Beast Mastery tree that is really useful to have. So I'll just go through and put these talents in like I would as I level. Just to show you the way I usually go about it. So I'm going to put my first 5 points into endurance training. 15% increased health for pets. 3 points in thick hide to increase the armor rating of your pets. Usually I would get improved revive pet before I get the thick hide, but that's just up to you, whichever one you think is more useful for you. But 2 points in improved revive pet. That's going to take the cast time for revive pet down to, I think it's 4 seconds. It's going to reduce the mana cost by 40% and increase the health your pet returns with by an additional 30%. That means that a lot of times while you're in combat, if you can get some distance from the mobs, you'll be able to revive your pet in combat and get it back into the fight and hopefully take aggro back from you and help you survive. So these two talents are definitely worth getting. Then I usually like to get Bestyle Swiftness, increase outdoor movement speed of your pets by 30%. Just helps them get to the mobs faster and, start building up threat on them a little faster. Then I usually like to put 4 points in Unleashed Fury, and that's going to open up the next tier. Now, here you need all 5 points in Ferocity, and that's going to unlock Frenzy down here. So at this point, I pick up Intimidation. I mean, this is an amazing cooldown. This is going to be around level 30 when you get Intimidation. Yeah, this is your stun, where your pet can stun mobs for you. I like to get Spirit Bond. This is going to be passive healing for you and your pet, even during combat. Every 10 seconds, you will regenerate 2% total health for you and your pet. Then 2 in Bestyle Discipline increases focus regeneration of your pets by 20%. That's going to help your pets do more damage, give them increased threat, helping to keep threat on your pet and away from you. Now, Frenzy, I really don't see any point in putting more than 3 points into Frenzy, because this buff lasts for 8 seconds. If you really want to be sure about it, you can put 4 in. 80% chance on every attack for it to proc Frenzy, and it lasts for 88 seconds. So this only happens after dealing a critical strike, but I mean, your pet's going to crit a lot. So this should have 100% uptime with 3 or 4 talents put into it. Then I like to go ahead and finish out Unleash Fury, because that's a really good talent. And at that point, you can get Bestyle Wrath. This is a 2-minute cooldown that's going to increase your pet's damage by 50% for 18 seconds. So it's a huge damage increase for 20 seconds, or 18 seconds, sorry. Now at this point, you can go into whatever you want to. Me personally, I like going into Marksmanship. So I put 5 points into Efficiency, just going to save your mana a little bit and help you stay in combat longer without having to drink. Lethal Shots, all 5. 5% critical strike chance with ranged weapons. It's really useful. And then at that point, Aimed Shot, and I also really like getting Hawkeye for increased range with your ranged weapons. So 6 yards increased range off of that. Now at that point, you have 6 talent points left. I really like to get these talents in the survival tree, but at this point you can get whatever you want. That's just what I generally use as a hunter while I'm leveling. I know a lot of people switch over to Marksmanship at max level. Just depends on what you're doing. But open world leveling, I find Beast Mastery to be the most useful. So that's all I've got for you on the hunter for today. Be sure to leave me a comment down below if I forgot anything. Let me know what you think about it. Be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and I'll catch you in the next one.